Hello and welcome to Ask Coach Cam, where I answer your burning fat loss questions. We've had a few questions throughout the week, and in this half hour or so, I'm going to do my best to answer them. The last few weeks, we've gone through the whiteboard, and it seems to be something that's worked with a lot of people. So what I've tried to do is kind of amalgamate all the questions that have been asked and come up with an answer on the whiteboard, going through a topic, going through a subject that hopefully answers those questions. It sort of gets people on the right track towards their fat loss goals. So without further ado, we're going to try and get into it. And to be honest, a lot of the questions I've had, a lot of you are still really trying to start habits that you don't like, okay? And this is kind of a big issue. When we talk about success, so if we've got success over here, there's a little bubble. Okay, what leads us to success? Well, one of them is habits. But that's only a small fraction, okay? And if you're doing things that you don't like, so really what leads us to success is doing things we enjoy. Okay, that makes sense, right? If we enjoy it, we're much more likely to do it, okay? We're much more likely to perform the action, it's more rewarding. So they are interlinked, they are related. We're much more likely to form the habit if it's something that we enjoy doing, okay? But what a lot of people are still trying to do is the kind of almost the antithesis of a habit. What we're trying to do is we're trying to rely on willpower instead of habits. Okay, so before we talk about all these other areas of success and all the other things we can do to have success, particularly in our fat loss goals, but this goes for literally anything else, we need to talk about willpower and why willpower or motivation or whatever you want to call it is really a subpar way of looking at things. So I guess to start kind of breaking that down, to go into it, there's a study, quite an old study now, that essentially willpower, motivation, whatever, is a finite resource. Some researchers, they did an experiment where they had two plates. Oh, you can barely see that, can you? Let's change to blue. So they had two plates. One plate had radishes on it, and one plate had some lovely chocolate chip cookies. Okay, radish, cookies. At the start of the experiment, they were told not to touch the cookies, but you can eat as many radishes as you want. Okay. Or vice versa. I'm not going to go into the details, the exact details of the experiment. Basically, they told them they could eat one plate or the other, different groups, and that affected the results of the experiment. But really, all you need to know is there were radishes and cookies. There was a group that had to eat radishes. Then what they did was they had to do a hard puzzle. That was impossible to solve. Okay, so they worked at the puzzle, and this is that mental effort, mental energy, all going into this puzzle, all of that kind of stuff. And then they were sat down in front of the two plates again. And so the people, and what was interesting is the people who deprived themselves cookies at the start and tried longest at the puzzles, then ate cookies at the end. Okay, they were the quickest to eat cookies. The difference is something like 8 minutes versus 19 minutes. Okay, so they were sat there for a long time as well, looking at those cookies. So basically, what this gave rise to was the theory of ego depletion, which is thinking of the ego or willpower or motivation as a well that we draw from throughout the day. So you can imagine, getting up, brings that water level down, then, I don't know, starting work, that first meeting of the day, that's going to bring it down a significant amount. Meeting. Maybe it comes back up when we have our lunch break and see our friends, all this stuff. But essentially, by the end of the day, you know, we're going to be running on really low water levels. Now, what the researchers use this to explain is how, when we get to the end of the day, we're much more likely to snack, we're much more likely to give up on doing our exercise, doing all those kind of things. And so motivation runs out throughout the day, and then when we're trying to motivate ourselves to do things, it's going to be much harder, okay, because this motivation, well, now, it's worth noting that this has been disputed, and people and it's much more to do with kind of our psychological mindset. If we are feeling low, we're much more likely to give in and give ourselves a reward, or if we feel we've worked hard, and it can be more linked to reward mentality, a few of these other things. Basically, if you want to know more, you're going to have to go and read the literature reviews. There's lots of things kind of debunking this. But I think whether you believe it or not, so even if it's true, and our motivation depletes over the day, or even if it's not true, if we're feeling low, to go back a step, if we believe our motivation is low as well, we're much more likely to excuse bad behaviour. So even believing in this is not necessarily a good thing, and that's what some of the researchers found. If we believe we have lower motivation, okay, then we don't believe in ourselves as much to go ahead and do things. So even believing in this and believing you have low motivation or whatever, it's just not going to help. So whether you believe it or not, it's really all not that useful a concept, okay? And so rather than saying there is motivation or there isn't motivation, we want to remove it entirely from this equation, okay? We want to get rid of it. Motivation, willpower can all bugger off. We don't want it in this chart of success, okay? If we're reliant on willpower, we're probably going to fail for one reason or another. So we don't want to make it, we don't want to put it as part of our success equation, okay? So success, you know, it comes down to habits, it comes down to doing things we enjoy, it comes down to timing. If you genuinely believe you have less motivation at the end of the day, why not do stuff in the morning, okay? A lot of people run on this theory, and they can just let themselves relax in the evening. And really, you can add so much to this, okay? So yeah, we're talking habits, we're talking doing things we enjoy, timing. Where else can we go with this? It can be people. We are social creatures. If we've got other people reliant on us, okay? I do Steel Viking every Sunday because I've got other people relying on me to run it, okay? So those people, and you know, it's not so much a workout for me as it is for them, but it still gets me out. I'm still lugging things around, stood up, I'm not sat down, all these kind of things. So if we can get other people involved in what we're doing and surrounding ourselves with like-minded people, then this is a key one. So when we're talking about exercise, okay, can we get in other groups with other people that do exercise with us? Can we make other people reliant on us? Okay, can we instruct something? Okay, can you do basic level qualification and start instructing something? Okay, and then when it comes to dieting as well, what are the negative aspects if you're with people that always go out for a pub lunch and stuff like this? We don't need to talk about willpower. We don't need to talk about that side of the equation, okay? Everyone else is having a pub lunch. That's going to be really hard to resist. That is going to be really dependent on willpower, okay? Even if you like the people we have lunch with, can we change some of their habits maybe? Can we suggest another place for lunch? Can we, can we do these things? Okay, we can go here where, we can eat a bit lighter, and if a couple of you want a pint, you can have a pint, whatever. So surrounding ourselves with the right people, or using other people to kind of play it off is a big part of this. We're social creatures. And we can just go on and on and on, drawing loads and loads of things off this, and your route to success is going to look a lot different to anybody else's, okay? Some of you are more introverted, couldn't think of anything worse than working out with other people, all this kind of stuff. But what I wanted to do is also approach this doing things we enjoy, okay? Because a big thing for me, when I wasn't working out, when I was focusing on business, when I was doing all these things, I don't have time, my life is too busy, crazy. I just don't have time for that. I'm just going to leave it, okay? And then someone says, just do something you enjoy. It's like, well, I enjoy working on my businesses. I enjoy my downtime playing video games. I enjoy this, I enjoy that. I don't know what I enjoy. I don't like going for a run. I don't know what I enjoy, okay? And so this is kind of where willpower, kind of oxymoronically, comes back into play. Okay? Because we know, for example, that starting running is usually horrible. We're really unfit, we get our breath 2 minutes in, okay? And that's not an exaggeration. I've had times when I was really out of shape where it was 60 seconds in, okay, out of breath. I think that's the case for a lot of people who have been sat on the couch or been working on their businesses, whatever it is, not been able to get out and move, start running, 60 seconds out of breath, and then it's willpower all the way just to keep going. Number one, to make us not wholly reliant on willpower, I would suggest something like Couch to 5K, okay, where we've got those run segments and then the walk segments, okay, and that helps us get through the run. It provides some structure. We're not just plodding along, just trying to get through, okay, and even without Couch to 5K, just walk segments of it. That's still half an hour of activity, okay? It doesn't matter that you're at a low level where you're unable to run for the full half hour. Don't worry about it. Jog some bits, walk some bits. Still half hour movement, okay? We're not worried about that, don't care, okay? And we'll get better over time. But we also know it's hard when you start, but then once you've started, it can actually feel quite bad when you don't go for a run, okay? You feel lethargic, you feel horrible, and then you build momentum. So sometimes a little bit, a tiny bit of motivation, willpower, whatever, is required to get past that first hurdle, okay? But the way we really want to limit motivation, okay? We want to make all these other things, okay? If we're surrounding ourselves with good people, it's something that we enjoy. Like, let's say we hate running and this is more sword fighting, dancing, whatever. It might take a while for us to enjoy it. If you're doing dancing, it might take a while to get good enough to really enjoy dancing and to be able to get around with different partners and do some cool things that you envisioned yourself doing at the start. So where it does come in, I would say, is right at the beginning, right, almost right at the worst moment, okay? You know, where you are unfit, you are whatever, and so it's just about breaking that hurdle, really, and getting through, and then you start to enjoy it, okay? I enjoy, rewind 3-4 years, I would have said, don't like running, it's bad for you, bad for your joints, bad for everything, running is terrible. Now, I can't really say all that without being a bit of a hypocrite, okay? I still limit my running because it is bad for your joints, okay? But I just enjoy it. It's great cardio, it's outside, it makes me feel good, get those endorphins flowing, okay? We know it's good for your mental health, all that kind of stuff. I think that's a big part of it when we talk about being lethargic, stuck at home, and getting out of that trap. It is very hard, we're depressed, we don't even have the willpower to put on our shoes, okay? And this is where, you know what, even stuff this side, even then I would say, just do that, just put on your shoes, okay? Just do those little things, go out for a walk instead of a run, don't do that. Walk before you can run, take baby steps, and that's how we limit that willpower required. And the thing is, What a lot of people do is to try and push through it anyway, okay? So they'll go for that first run. They'll perhaps be really quote-unquote motivated. They'll go for the run, they'll really push themselves through it, and they'll go, oh, you know what, I'm quite proud of myself that I really pushed myself through that. But also, they've spent half an hour just punishing themselves, okay? They've not enjoyed it, they've not had fun, they weren't with any other people, they've not built any habits necessarily yet, okay? Habits being that automatic process. They've not done any of that, and then next time it comes to run, they're like, oh, I don't feel like punishing myself. So stop punishing yourself, okay? Stop doing punishment. That's not how we get fit, that's not how we eat better. Eating healthy foods should not be a punishment, okay? You're going to need to find those things that you enjoy, and that's really where that quote-unquote willpower comes in. It's finding those things, finding those meals, okay, that you enjoy cooking, that you can cook nice and easy, that you can eat, that you enjoy, and you feel good afterwards. You go, yeah, you know what, that was a real healthy meal, okay? Catherine made me a Waldorf salad yesterday, absolutely fantastic, made me feel great, made me feel healthy, made me feel full, okay? So it's about developing all those sorts of things. When we start from zero and we go straight to tiny little M&S salads or whatever that don't even really fill us up, that's not moving towards a healthier lifestyle. That's just punishing yourselves. So I think that's the difference that I'm trying to make. On one side we've got willpower, and it's just punishment. Okay? And we've got willpower, or rather the utilization of excessive willpower as part of that punishment, okay? And this ultimately leads to failure. Fail. Epic fail, okay? You can't punish yourself forever, okay? You got a certain tolerance to it. We can't punish ourselves forever. If we want success, then we need to start doing these sorts of things, and you need to think about your strategy, okay? I would even suggest going home, okay, drawing this exact chart and going, okay, what does success look like? What is going to help me if I get rid of this, okay? So again, we use the phrase that we talk about a lot, where people say, oh, I didn't go on my runs this week, I didn't eat healthy this week. Don't worry, next week I'll be more motivated. Get out of that mind frame, okay? Treat yourself as an experiment. This is what it's all about. You are an experiment, okay? And if with removing this from the equation entirely, okay, what else is there that's leading to your failure, okay? Is the hurdle too big? Do you need to be around other people? Are you more extroverted and you get your energy from other people? Do you need to join a running group? Do you need to join a gym class? Whatever it is, think about these things. And then what happens when we remove willpower from the equation is we actually start to come to some more interesting solutions, okay? So it's like, okay, I didn't eat healthy this week. Why? I just wasn't motivated enough. No, stop. Stop right there. Incorrect. It's not that you weren't motivated enough. That is, for lack of a better word, bullshit, okay? No, wrong. I didn't enjoy what I was cooking. I didn't go out shopping. I didn't do all these other things, okay? And then it's a tactic called the 5 whys, okay? Or I like to call it just being a toddler. Toddlers are great at it. I didn't eat healthy this week. Why? Well, I didn't go shopping, I didn't get the stuff in. Why? I didn't really know what to get. Why? Because I didn't plan my meals, okay? And all of a sudden, instead of being, I'll just be more motivated next week, what you've got down to doing 5 whys, there was 4 there, was that you need to plan your meals, okay? That's not being more motivated, that's going, okay, I need to plan my meals. And then next week, if we fail, we analyse it again and go, okay, well, I plan my meals, so what happened here? I don't know how to cook, okay? You're going to have to teach yourself how to cook. If we're going for sustainability, sustainable success, those are the kind of steps that we've got to start with. We've got to teach ourselves some meals, okay? Like, you're trying to jump straight ahead, and even if you find a meal online, okay, and you get all the ingredients in, and a meal that should take half an hour takes an hour and a half because you've not cooked it before, you don't know how to cook it, all that kind of stuff. The next time it comes around to cooking that meal, you're not going to do it because you're going to go like, oh, I'm really hungry now, and that takes an hour and a half. It doesn't. It takes half an hour. But for you, currently, it takes an hour and a half. We need to get better at cooking. We need to get better at planning ourselves around the kitchen, all that kind of stuff. And so those are the kind of habits that we can form early on, okay? And what we might want to start with is a more simple meal, all stuff like that. So those are our routes to success. And that's really all I've got to say this week. Think more laterally, think more outside of the box. Don't use this lame-ass excuse that I just need to be more motivated, okay? Remove that from your vocabulary and start to think more interestingly, okay? Start to think, ask yourself those 5 whys. Do a root cause analysis. Why aren't you doing stuff? And be honest with yourself, okay? You know, oh, I didn't go running this. Why? I can't really run, okay? We need that level of honesty to move forward, okay? If we keep hiding these things in the fog and we keep hiding them low in our brain, okay, so that we're not really focusing on them, so we don't have to acknowledge that we're terrible at running and all this kind of stuff, then we're just not going to get anywhere. We're not going to solve that root cause or any of that stuff. Maybe for some larger people out there, it might be, I'm too large to run, okay? It's just such an effort. It does take a toll on my joints, because it will if you're heavier, okay? And so we start to go, okay, what about cycling? What about swimming? All these other things. And again, it's just about being creative. It's just about doing that creative thinking. So that's, from the questions I've got in this week, that's my advice. Get creative with your thinking. Remove this from your vocabulary. And that's all, okay? So if you enjoyed this week, make sure you hit any subscribe buttons, any notification bells, all that kind of stuff. If you enjoyed it, make sure you share it. We're in groups or whatever. And if you want to as well, you can also go to www.the1percentway.com and subscribe there to get notifications in the future. Goodbye for now.